residents to the Dr. DC podcast. My name is producer Richard, and across from me is the doctor himself.
Howdy.
Trying to come up with something, and
I couldn't.
That was it. That was what you went with. Each week we talk about the weird and wonderful world of DC while fielding questions from listeners like you.
We've recorded too much in the last couple of days.
I mean, has it been that much?
This is the fourth episode we've recorded in the last 12 hours.
Oh, I guess so.
Sorry, 24 hours.
Yeah. I was really drunk last night and didn't realize it.
I mean, I wasn't.
I was careful you drove home.
Well, no, I mean, I wasn't, but I did clock partway through that we just had like weird energy.
It was very...
I mean, because we normally don't record on that day of the week. Not usually at night. And
it was weird energy, but my wife this morning was like, hey, you were pretty drunk last night. I was like, really? I don't think so. She's like, I didn't think so either. I'm like, what do you mean? And she was like...
You pissed the bed.
Well, no. No, but she had been eating like a big like plastic container of fruit before bed.
Right.
And she was like, guess where I found that this morning? And I was like, where? And she was like, in the pantry. I was like, oh, yeah, I guess I was drunk last night.
That's really funny. Did you even have that much, though?
No, I had like 2 of these and then that one tall boy. But yeah, that was it. But I'm also, I've always been a cheap drunk.
True. Very true.
But we've got a review.
Hey. Howdy.
If you keep doing it, then it's comedy.
Rule of threes, baby.
Oh, can't wait for the next time.
I'll never tell.
Oh. God, you scamp. We've got a 5-star review, number 143, from Facebook. Coming in from Sarah Woods Ewing, who says, make the Lord of the Rings or my husband will cry like a little baby. P.S. 5 out of 5 twinkly bits. What?
I don't know, but that sounds like someone who was forced to write a review.
Yeah, that's our fan base. Cry like a little baby that Ryan's going to tell to shut the fuck up. We're like moments away from getting all of the news that hopefully will happen in the Super Bowl, but that's not the news we've got today.
Oh, what are we expecting news from the Super Bowl?
Well, there's always like trailers and stuff. We usually go through and do trailers and.
Well, I mean, the DC one dropped before the Super Bowl,
which is why that's the first thing we're going to talk about, which is the DC movie trailer reveals first look at JSA and more.
Yeah, so they put out this thing. The World Needs Heroes is the name of the trailer, and basically it's because DC has 4 movies coming out this year. Well, 4 live action movies. They don't put Legion of Super Pets in this thing, but they have 5 movies coming out this year.
The world needs hero. People are trying to make us take these mandates and not letting us cross
these
the borders.
Heroes don't wear masks. Could you imagine? That's the take they have. LexCorp's handed out free vaccines, and I said, no, thank you. Jesus Christ. Could you imagine? He's such an insane messaging campaign.
It'd work.
So they put out this trailer. So it's got some clips, not a ton of new footage from some things, but it's got some clips from the Batman.
Yeah.
It's got like 2 short clips from Aquaman 2.
Black Adam.
There's a couple of little shots of the Flash, but the big part of it is Black Adam, and we got our first looks at Hawkman, Dr. Fate, Atom Smasher, and Cyclone,
and they look great.
They look amazing.
They look so good.
I think the thing that I've always said about Black Adam still stands, which is like whether or not The Rock can pull it off.
Yeah,
but like everything else about it, like I'm most excited for Black Adam because it's like that's the stuff I like, where it's like there's more characters out there and there's a world, and that like
it feels very like Crises kind of like.
Well, it just feels
event.
Like it just feels like big, like an event. Yeah, but yeah, I mean those costumes look incredible. Pierce Brosnan as Kent Nelson looks great. Atom Smasher looks really good. Hawkman, love that look for Hawkman. Yeah. I love how wide the wings are. I love when Hawkman and Hawkgirl have like a crazy wingspan.
Totally.
Really into that.
Yeah. It looks really good. But I'm also like, why are they framing it like this? Like, are we going to get like a huge crossover? Like, what?
No, it's just, but they got 4 movies coming out this year.
I know, but it feels like I'm just like, you're putting all these guys together.
I think you're reading too much into it.
I just think I think in corporate a lot. And so I'm like,
I know, but like they didn't do this when they were crossing them over. That's not what this is.
No, but I'm like, they're just testing the waters. See what you think about them, all these guys together.
I think you're putting too much into it.
I think we're going to get something.
Okay. All right, sure. This would be the one time where it's like Doc was 100% right.
We'll see. Just saying. I'm excited. Speaking of crises.
I mean, not really, but if you want to bring it up.
Well, no, I was saying that it felt like an event.
Yeah.
But
we weren't speaking of crisis.
Speaking of events.
Now you're speaking of a crisis.
Jesus fucking Christ. This podcast is a crisis.
Podcasters in crisis.
Yeah, I mean, it's coming.
Yeah. Sanctuary.
DC announces Dark Crisis.
That's right.
Everyone seems underwhelmed on the doc scored.
Oh, that wasn't the sense that I got, actually.
For me, everybody seemed really tentative about it, yeah.
But you also asked before any information was out. You went in with like, what do people think about Dark Crisis? And no info was out. As soon as the info was out, we're all like, it's not a reboot. It's not a retcon. It's building off just Williamson just tying stuff together like he did very recently in Justice League Incarnate #4. I think I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be good.
Spoilers, killing the Justice League.
Well, that's Justice League 75,
Yeah.
which will lead into this. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I'm actually excited for it. Like the fact that he came out and was like very explicitly like, we're not rebooting or retconning. I was like, oh, then go to fucking town.
Yeah.
I'm in. Because your boy loves a crisis.
Yeah.
And I even like a retcon, but do I like them like a year and a half apart? Not really.
No.
So as soon as he said that, I was like, okay, then go to fucking town. If it's just more story and
so
like,
what is the premise here?
So the premise is that there's the Great Darkness, which is a thing that appears as far back as like Swamp Thing 50
Okay.
and stuff like that, and it's been referenced in various ways. And the Great Darkness is like essentially like
Charlie Murphy.
no darkness. It's like the nothing. It's like nothingness.
Oh, it's like before time.
It is a lack of anything, and it's tired of things existing, and it wants to take it out. And
I can almost think of like a TV show that did this.
Well, that's why I phrased it that way.
I know.
And it just wants to go back to nothing. Basically,
Oh my god, it literally is just.
But Justice League Incarnate #4 set up that the Great Darkness is essentially like the big motivator or engine or kind of influencer behind every crisis, every big thing or whatever. So on the side of the nothingness and on the side of the Great Darkness, we get beings like Eclipso, the Empty Hand, the Gentry, like all those kind of characters. I think this event involves Pariah as well, who we first meet in Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Yeah.
And it's, Pariah is part of this event, so there's like a tie to other crises and stuff. But with the Justice League, main Justice League, quote unquote, dead or wherever, then it's
it's not a reboot or like so they're I'm assuming they're like just displaced,
or they're dead and they'll come back. I mean, listen, it's comics. I think the best we could hope for is they're gone for like 5 years, and that's a lot.
That would be crazy.
But we have, interestingly though, we have enough characters in place with momentum building where it's like, we don't really need them. Like,
so are you saying that we're gonna like who's the Justice League right now? Is it
Justice League is pretty much who you expect.
Yeah, and we're just wiping them off, and that's just. But also that's just,
some of them are supposed to be dead. Some of them are supposed to be MIA. But
what is this? Just like main continuity too?
Yeah.
So how does this affect the like other series that?
Well, they die in Justice League 75, and then that book stops, and then Dark Crisis starts.
But what about the other series that like are like the Batman series and the Superman series and all that other stuff?
I guess we'll find out.
I'm suspicious.
You're new to this. Just go with it. You don't have to it'll just things
I
will
don't know,
happen.
man. I think DC's going down.
I'm excited for it. Like when it was first like, oh, there's gonna be this big event, I was like, let's wait.
yeah.
And then as soon as I read the thing and there was info and he was like, we are not rebooting or retconning, I was like, dope. Do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, 'cause now
that's all you have to say to me, and then it's like, sweet. Because why go through especially for Williamson, why go through all the effort of explaining how the cosmology
Sure.
works now just to change it?
Well, yeah.
But he's put all this effort and he's like, I don't want to fucking change it. I just
Yeah.
want to do something cool and interesting. I was like, all right, go for it.
I mean, yeah, it sounds like it theoretically should be the thing that people want, which is like do a big drastic thing and change things. And
Yeah, but you're not like changing how it's always been. You're just like now
yeah.
John is Superman.
Yeah,
now,
yeah.
you know, Jackson is Aquaman. All of these things are already in progress in other
Yeah,
books.
yeah,
So it actually it feels like the right.
Yeah, I guess for me it'll just
Time.
be like what's happening in those other series then in response to that.
We'll find out.
I'm really worried.
Okay, here's the thing. If a series doesn't explicitly like directly have tie-in issues during an event, generally while the event is happening, those books are unaffected.
Okay.
Maybe when the event is done, then you see something change.
Sure.
So like unless it's directly tying in as the event is happening.
And we haven't gotten any announcements.
You'll still see Bruce in Batman until the event is done, and then based on how the event ends, then the book changes.
But we've had no announcements about tie-ins or anything yet.
Not that I know of. They announced a couple of like one-shot things that like lead up, but not about like how the.
Okay. Would they do?
Although I haven't looked at I guess we're mid-month. I don't know if the new solicitations are out
for April?
No, it'd be for May.
No, the last I saw was April.
Exactly, but now we're mid-February, so May would be coming out.
Yeah, I know how months work.
Well, clearly not.
I just meant I looked pretty recently, and it was April's all I could find. But
Yeah, because they would come out like this week.
Oh, well, then there you go.
Jesus Christ, like talking to a fucking brick wall.
Shut up.
You read like 4 comics.
I think I know how comics work.
Do you know what? I think we do need a bit of gatekeeping in here.
No, I get it now.
Everything I've ever said, I'm wrong.
Yeah. I don't want him into this. He doesn't know enough.
Time to keep some gates. Who's with me?
Look, we've got an aggressive audience. The last thing we need to do is point them in the wrong direction. One last piece of news. Because in case you didn't listen to, I think it was the end of our previous episode, we talked about it, but we're going to Vancouver.
That's right.
The Vancouver
Our
Fan
own
Expo.
news.
Yeah. We were invited to be press at this. We were invited to be press at this event.
Yeah. In parentheses,
please.
Can we have a press pass?
Please.
I mean, they did say yes.
They did. Yeah, I had to be
we waved that Canadian podcast
goddamn
award in front of
right.
their face.
Yeah, I fucking slapped them upside the face with it.
Yeah, I mean, at the time you're listening to if you're listening to this on the day it comes out, tomorrow we fly out.
We fly out. Oh
yeah,
my
we're
God.
going down. We have no idea if or who we get to interview.
No, I thought that maybe we could set things up in advance, but they were very clearly being don't reach out to anybody yourself. And I'm like, okay.
And then they also said, we can't tell you until you get here.
Yeah. And I was like,
so we have no idea.
no. So,
but we're going to check stuff out.
Yeah.
Go to some panels, go to some comic shops, do the stuff at the expo
Bare
too.
minimum.
We're going to have fun.
Bare minimum, we get to hang out at a comic convention, buy comics at a convention, go and see comic book shops. It's going to be good regardless.
It's going to be a good time.
Yeah.
We're sharing a hotel room.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're not going tops and tails.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I got one bed in the bedroom.
That would be so funny.
They asked me. They kind of
They were
insisted.
like, sure, are you sure that you don't want 2 beds in here?
Yeah, this is it's a Christian hotel we're staying at. Sir, I'm seeing 2 men's names on here, and
At the very least, let us put a line of shame pillows down the middle of the bed.
can we at least just put in another bed so that it'll make us feel better?
A Christian hotel. That's the funniest shit ever. I mean, that must exist.
It must.
That must exist somewhere, but it's very funny.
Yeah, they're called bed and breakfasts.
You know what?
I've stayed at enough of them to know.
Yeah, bed and breakfast, they don't like when you loud fuck in
Yeah.
those. It's nothing like a hotel.
Especially when it's with a man. I hate that.
Yeah, we're going to have fun, though.
It's gonna be a very good time. We're hopefully gonna capture a bunch of content, and
My wife is super upset that I'm going on a trip.
really.
Without her.
Oh,
But our daughter is too young to get vaccinated, and
oh,
that's been like our line, which
Sure.
is like we can't bring her.
to major cities, especially.
Well, we're not traveling on a plane with her or doing any of that.
Yeah, it's not like you
Well,
and I are
she's-
gonna have a whole bunch of fun, eat a bunch of great food, drink with comedians, and
Yeah.
buy comic books the whole time.
Yeah.
It's gonna be an awful time.
I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna stay with you for a night.
Oh, that's right.
Do my rapid test, and as
Yeah.
long as I'm fine, I'll go back home after.
Maybe.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah. Who
This
knows
might
how
just
good?
be how things are now.
Yeah. Who knows how good this trip is gonna be? This could really change some things.
Cats in the cradle of the silver spoon.
Look, Daddy found comics and
Yeah,
a little
now.
bit more.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. It'll be good.
Speaking of adoring men, this week we're talking about silver foxes.
Baby.
Oh, yeah.
Although not specifically just men. Although I think
That term usually is for men. But
it is, but then I amended it to be about elder states folk.
God, this is the month of you amending the titles of these episodes.
Yeah, because I'm not so proud that I can't take notes or
you're
criticism.
no proud boy.
I'm not a proud boy.
I'm a proud
I'm
man.
a proud man.
These heroes don't wear masks.
That'd just be so wild. It'd be so wild. It'd be like, wow, this whole studio came out staunchly anti-vax.
We're anti-bat mandates.
Oh no! Oh no! We're anti-Batman. Who's one of Batman's biggest villains? Bane, pumping chemicals through his body.
Yeah, without permission from the government.
Yeah. Also, he's Spanish. Watch out.
Oh no!
It's us, America.
Yeah. Yeah, didn't you know from Fox News bought the WB?
Be so insane.
Yeah, we're talking about our silver sleeked gentlemen. And is there any questions about ladies in
Yeah,
this?
a little salt and pepper. There's a couple, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, but the elder statesman of
Yes.
the DC universe.
That's right.
So, why don't we get to your questions, which means we're going over to Facebook.
Going to the face and the book. Going to the Facebook.
First question comes from,
I didn't like that.
hey, don't touch my carrots or John's peas.
Forgot the setup there for a second.
Yep. No, you can touch my carrots.
We're not in the hotel.
Yeah, it's heirloom.
Is that just your way of saying it's like crooked?
Yeah, and purple. Don't worry, it's orange on the
Why
inside.
do people listen to us?
That's a very good question. Don't poke the bear. John Spees asks, who is the oldest person on Earth in DC?
Ooh. Okay. I'm going to interpret this question as not just being who is the oldest being currently on Earth,
Yeah.
but being like who is the oldest Earthbound
Yes.
being
Yeah. Yeah. Because
originating on Earth.
sure.
Right?
Raish is pretty old.
Well, but I think the obvious answer is probably Vandal Savage.
Vandal
He's
Savage,
like 50,000 or something years old. He's from like the
And he's not reincarnating. He's just that old.
precisely, right?
Yeah.
Because like Vandal Savage and the Immortal Man both get their powers from the same meteor.
Sure.
Like whatever, 50 or 80,000 years ago, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But the Immortal Man's power is that he comes back as like
Yeah.
a new persona each
Exactly,
time he's
yeah.
killed. Vandal Savage just cannot die.
Doesn't he? Isn't it also like, is killing the Hawks giving him some?
That is
That's
just
just
in the show. What they
okay.
do in the show is they take the idea of Vandal Savage, who lives a long time, and they mix in Hath Set, who is the character that always kills them,
okay.
by destiny.
Oh,
They kind of blend them together in
interesting.
the show.
Because like he also Vandal Savage is tied in with the Hawks though, like outside the show.
I mean,
or?
only in that like
They're
he
from
knows them in different lifetimes.
Okay,
and stuff.
okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah. So the show does something a little different. He's like a little bit half set.
Okay,
You know,
that makes more sense.
But yeah, I mean, Vandal Savage is kind of like an obvious, I think, answer because he's like literally survived since the whatever you call that era, like the Paleolithic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course, there's not only humans that originate on Earth, though.
Yeah, for sure.
I think
This does say person, so take that as you will. So probably not animals, but
right. Well, okay, this answer may or may not qualify then, but I do want to talk about it.
sure.
So there's this long-standing thing in DC that like Maltus, the planet from which the Guardians of the Universe come from. So the Guardians, the Controllers, the Zamarons are all descended from Malthusians.
Sure.
There's a long-standing thing in DC where Maltus is the planet on which life originated.
Okay.
Earth is the center of the or not anymore, but Earth was the center of the multiverse. But Maltus is the planet where life originated. And so the Guardians are like, we've been around longer than anybody. The big reveal in Blackest Night is that that's a lie to disguise the fact that life began on Earth. And the life entity, the white light entity, is like in the Earth. So they try to hide it so that no one can find it and hurt it. But ultimately, Necron finds out that that's where the white entity of life is. So if that entity is, like the other ones, fueled by the collective whatever of the universe, the white life entity is likely the oldest being on Earth.
Just not the person.
Because that's where it started and it stayed there.
Sure.
Person, I mean, we're going to get into like measure of a man, like ethical debate territory here.
We're not talking about consciousness, but
because I mean, you know, those entities have consciousness and sentience and things like, you know, parallax, ion. They all have their own thoughts and stuff. But if we're talking like humanoid, it's probably Vandal Savage.
Yeah, I would probably agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's leave Facebook and head on over to Twitter.
Twitter.
First question. Oh shit, comes from. That goes cray,
Ain't it, Jay?
watch it outa.
Fish fillet.
What side do you stand on?
Team Davidson.
Yeah, good.
Did I just see a thing today where like Kanye is like calling him like you know who or
yes,
like
the he who must not be named. Yes.
Yeah, I was like, Jesus Christ. Pete Davidson has so much power.
And he literally is just like wandering through life. Like if you would ever think that if you ever had a theory that this was a simulation, it's definitely Pete Davidson's simulation. Because he's just this like kind of dumb, ugly guy who's just like getting with like the most beautiful women, getting to like beyond.
He lives rent free inside of the head of like one of like the most successful like rappers
of all time.
And he's just like, I can't take it.
Because he took his wife. Like,
it's so funny. I mean, Kanye is his own sort of like fascinating academic study waiting to happen about a person who buys into their own hype too much.
Oh, yes.
But the idea that this like, someone like Pete Davidson is like, he's like crumbling in the face of Pete Davidson. It's like kind of amazing.
My favorite thing is just like, and Pete Davidson is like, they like, cause Kanye like bought a house across the street from Kim. He like walks out and like takes out the garbage and is like, hey Kanye. And Kanye's like, fuck you.
It's so funny. I mean, it's insane and not important, but so entertaining to me.
Incredibly. Now that he's literally like, he kicked Kid Cudi off of his album because he's friends with Pete Davidson.
Yeah, with you know who.
It's so funny. Kid Cudi's just like, all right, dude.
Yeah. Kanye goes on a quest to destroy all of the Davidson Horcruxes.
It's incredible.
It's so funny.
It's one of my new favorite things going on right now.
Has anybody done the meme yet where it's the scene from Mad Men, but it's Kanye and Pete Davidson, where it's like, you're not very nice. Well, I don't think about you at all.
Yes.
It's like, has anybody done that yet?
That's very funny. That someone should, because that's incredible. It would take no effort. Well, the Cray Ghost asks, why doesn't the Golden Age Black Canary get as much play in flashback stories? It seems like if it is not about her affair with Ted or relationship with her daughter, nobody cares. And yet, she kicked ass with the best of them. Pretty fucked up.
Yes, but here's the thing with the Golden Age Black Canary.
Oh.
Golden Age Black Canary initially had like a kind of Green Hornet thing. She would go undercover in criminal organizations, like as a criminal, and then take them down from the inside. And then ultimately she was like, I'm a hero, and joined the Justice Society and whatever. She didn't have powers, just fighting. And eventually, okay, I'm going to try and get this right. If you thought the Hawks were confusing...
Okay.
I'm going to try and get this right. At some point, something happens to Earth 2. It's like what's the character's name? Like Atlanteus or Arcanus or something like that. Some character like that almost entirely destroys Earth 2. A bunch of them end up on like Earth 1. They have to fight the Justice League for a bit, and then they team up, that sort of thing. While that happens, she kind of forms a bond with Green Arrow. So Black Canary from Earth 2, Golden Age, forms a bond with Silver Age, Earth 1, Green Arrow.
Okay.
And start a bit of a romance, sort of. She eventually just stays on Earth 1 and joins that team.
So she jumps through time just by going multiversal?
It's not even like a time thing.
So she's just older?
Hang on. This is before the Justice Society is the older generation.
Oh, okay.
Because they're on separate Earths.
God forbid that I'm getting confused because you say Golden Age and Silver Age.
It's only been 4.5 years of podcast.
Look, the fact I'm even collecting is enough, all right?
Jesus Christ. They are technically older, but it's not because they like preceded. They're on different Earths.
Sure.
Right? So she ends up on Earth 1 and stays there and is Black Canary. And then all of a sudden we learn that she's actually her daughter. Because
all right.
She had a kid with her husband, Larry Lance. So the Golden Age Black Canary, Dinah Drake, has a kid with Larry Lance. And then she gets cancer from Arcanus or whatever the fuck his name was. And then also, so that her memories are put into the body of her daughter. The daughter goes to Earth 1 thinking she's the mom.
Okay.
And then later they retcon that again so that it involves the Wizard, Golden Age bad guy. He's in Injustice Society and stuff like that. So that involves the Wizard and a curse, and the curse gives the daughter the Canary Cry power. And there's also cancer again and some shit like that. So then they are separate characters again. I'm saying all of this basically to say, like, if you want a reason why we don't see a ton of Golden Age Black Canary, it's because depending on your continuity and depending on how ambitious you are as a writer, there actually like isn't a difference. Is that one
okay?
More because her memories get put in, like, you know what I mean? We don't do a lot of that. And then also post-Crisis, there was this thing where like Wonder Woman was post-Crisis when they made it one Earth, where it was like the Justice Society was an era, and then the Justice League comes after that, right? Okay. When it is a generational thing, they put Wonder Woman in it was Hippolyta was the Wonder Woman of the Justice Society. Then Wonder Woman hadn't come to man's world yet. So the way they retconned a bunch of like Justice League adventures that they said still existed in continuity was that Black Canary took the place of Wonder Woman as like the main female hero.
Okay.
That eventually got undone, but then that was the other thing was there's like Black Canary is like taking on this role, and I think to avoid confusion, that happens a lot.
And they really avoid
But now essentially anytime you see the Justice Society, like there is no Black Canary in the Golden Age.
Okay.
I think you could conceive, you could still get stories and stuff about her mom or something like that, but like they really shy away from it. The last like many times we've seen the Justice Society, there's been no Dinah Drake. She's just not there. I think it's because of all the weirdness.
Fair.
Yeah.
Good God.
Yeah. You're going to wish it was as easy as the Hogs.
I know. Bring me back to the Hogs.
Yeah. I get that.
I that makes sense now. All right.
I think that's the answer to that question.
Next question comes from the senator himself, James Paulson, baby.
Oh, yeah.
Getting all of the classics here. Love it. Everybody's coming out of the woodworks for this.
A couple of these are mailbag questions that I was like, these are appropriate.
Oh, you've just been holding on to them.
Yeah.
So maybe they didn't even want to be part of this.
Well, it's not really up to them.
No autonomy here, baby. It's our choice what we do with your words.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know, man.
I'm going to use your words however I please. Starting by saying, James Paulson asks, which Golden Age hero had the hardest time moving into the next age? Which one benefited from the transition?
I guess there's different ways to interpret this question. There's like the publishing, the meta thing, which is like, you could read it as like, when they updated a bunch of characters for the Silver Age, which ones did the best?
Yeah.
And the answers to that are obviously Flash and Green Lantern, I think.
Yeah.
The
Or
Atom, probably like way better as a, like in the Silver Age version than the Golden Age, like Al Pratt, little guy kind of like.
Yeah. Because the way that I see it is like a character that they like brought back in the new era and they like understood that character better.
Yeah. Or you can interpret this as like in continuity, which old generation character stayed active and relevant and respected the longest.
Yeah.
Which is probably Alan Scott.
Sure. Who had the hardest time moving into the next age?
Oh, I mean, it's got to be someone like, I'm going to come back to Al Pratt, the Atom. That's a character just like, he just doesn't show up. Like, the Golden Age Atom is just this like tiny guy who I think initially didn't have powers. He may retroactively have gotten some. Just like a scrapper, but like a kind of guy who's like Danny DeVito height. Sort of thing.
Sure.
Nothing to do with shrinking and growing or anything like that or whatever. I mean, Al Pratt mostly just gets mentioned as being the grandfather or like someone related to a bunch of other characters like Al Rothstein, the Atom Smasher, or Damage or things like that. So to me, Al Pratt is a character from the Golden Age that couldn't transition.
Somebody that I think I immediately go to is Sergeant Rock. Like, if you're talking about a character that like thrived in a previous era and was like one of the best selling books.
You just mean like as a meta, like from publishing standpoint?
Well, like as a character that like they don't know what to do with him anymore because it's like,
I mean,
in an age of now with like superheroes and like crises.
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
And yet, Sergeant Rock still shows up in books.
For sure.
He's a main character, well, main-ish character in Death Metal.
Yeah, sure.
You know, Sergeant Rock, they made like a GI Combat book or a Men of War book at the start of the New 52. Like,
but when
I can't even put my finger on the last time I've seen Al Pratt in a comic.
Yeah. I meant more because like how prevalent Sergeant Rock was when
I know what you mean, because war comics were such like a
thing.
Yeah. And then really fell off.
Because like superheroes became a thing.
Totally. And I think you're right, but that's a character where either like them themselves, if you're doing like a JSA adventure back in time, they always go like, and there's Sergeant Rock in, Easy Company or whatever.
Yeah.
Like that cameo thing happens so much. Like, I truly can't think of the last time I've seen Al Pratt in a comic.
Yeah, I guess for me it was it's the like how drastic of a change.
But yeah, the highest heights to the certainly from a publishing end. I get what you're saying. As a character, like in continuity, I think Sergeant Rock still has like, because then I think there's like people who are like, my grandfather was Sergeant Rock, or like
yeah.
Kind of like how there's two generations of like Rick Flag. I think there are multiple Sergeant Rocks too,
for sure.
Yeah, that's interesting too.
Who benefited the most, do you think?
Who benefited the most
from a transition?
probably Garrick. Probably
Sure,
the Flash,
yeah.
because listen, don't get me wrong, Alan Scott is such like a classic symbol of like elder statesman in DC Universe. Like really occupies like the position of like that kind of Superman can, which is like if you need someone to rally the heroes of the world and Alan Scott comes up, that's like having fucking like, I don't know, I can't think of like a good analogy, but it's like having some war hero from the 40s get up and be like, now's our time, you know, kind of thing. You know, Alan Scott could do that. But as far as like a character really evolving and transition, it's got to be Jay Garrick, right? Who was the Flash. He was the speedster in that. He was always a kind of pseudo mentor inspiration to Barry Allen, because initially when they were on different Earths, Barry takes the name The Flash because he used to read Flash comics, which of course are just the window to Earth 2. Yeah. They're the first ones that ever cross the dimensional boundary and meet each other. Mm-hmm. And then when Crisis happens and they become a generation thing, like Jay Garrick becomes like the grandfather, the patriarch of the Flash family, of all of them. Wally, Impulse, you know, Iris, Irie, and Jay, all of them funnel back to Jay and Joan Garrick, right? So, I think he definitely benefited the most. He got like a full family out of it. You know, Alan Scott has kids with iffy relationships to him.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of those Golden Age characters have like iffy familial relationships where their kids may or may not like them or whatever. Think of like Jack Knight and Ted Knight or things like that. You know, I think even like Ted Grant and is Tom Bronson is his son. Even they have a kind of like somewhat fraught relationship, but you look at the Flash family, it's like a true family with multiple generations, and they can teach each other and share power and all that kind of stuff. Like, yeah, Jay benefits the most from that transition. Easily.
Somebody I think that like both had the hardest time going into a new age, and then also eventually benefited from going into another new age, is somebody like Wonder Woman, where it was like started strong, moved into a new age, they didn't know what to do with her, moved into another new age, and we figured,
right. Again, from like the zoomed out, like the publishing standpoint.
Yeah,
totally. Golden Age Wonder Woman, way better than Silver Age Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
And then you finally get the like post-crisis Perez Wonder Woman, and you're like, okay, I think this is it. Yeah. And then everything kind of builds on that.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. All right, next question. Holy shit, comes from Mosaic Comics.
All right.
Who asks, DC once tried to make Alan Scott into a figure like Nick Fury by making him the leader of Checkmate and even giving him an eye patch. What are some of the most awkward and unsuccessful attempts to keep a Golden Age character fresh and relevant?
Ooh, interesting. Unsuccessful.
Or try to bring a character
we've got a new take on them.
Yeah, and
or a new thing for them to do.
And it does not work.
Interesting. That is a good question. Well, let's try and run down through them a little bit here.
Like, I know our big event stuff loves to bring in characters who are maybe lesser known, but they're never in any big substantial way, so that doesn't really feel...
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't feel like it's the right answer to this question, but like I feel like DC never figured out Dr. Occult.
Sure. Dr.
Occult's older than Superman. He first appears in like 1936 or something. He's like one of their earliest characters, but I feel like they never really figured out Dr. Occult. Think of all the Magic characters that have sprung up since or whatever. Even other Golden Age ones like Zatara. Like DC will come back and use Zatara again, even if it's in the same way every time. Mm-hmm. Like Dr. Occult shows up sometimes or has like cameos and things, but like they don't know how to use them. But I don't know that I can put my finger on them ever trying to like, we've got a take on Dr. Occult, and it didn't work. It's almost more just like they gave up. Mm-hmm. So it's not quite the same as what's being asked here.
There's been some like weird, like, I mean, the Hawks, they've done some weird stuff with trying to keep that character fresh and relevant.
True. And with the benefit of hindsight, though, it's almost like, and it all worked out.
Sure, yeah.
I mean, it probably didn't feel that way for
Same
a
thing
lot
with
of it.
like Dr. Light. Was some weird stuff.
Not yeah. Let's try and think here. This is actually like a really tough question.
It's a great question, but it's also like
because I can think of the opposite where it's like the Lex Luthor, like the business magnate kind of all that kind of stuff that we don't get until later in comics. The original Luthor was just like a mad scientist type, you know? So that's actually the opposite. That's them like nailing it later.
Yeah.
You know?
But how often do they bring a character or try to like do a new take on a character and it doesn't work out?
I'm trying to think of a character where it's like they made a decision to use them in a certain way and I hated it so much, as opposed to just being like giving up on it. Like the Red Bee, like we don't really get a lot of Red Bee, but that's because it was kind of like a weird dumb character. His name was like Rick Raleigh or something, and he had like a bee named Michael, like a pet a pet bee named Michael. That I think he'd like release him from his belt and he'd be like, Michael, go.
That's so funny. Especially because his name is a little weird, so it's so funny that the bee is Michael.
It's the okay. I think I have one.
Sure.
But the caveat is it ultimately got redeemed.
Sure, and that's fine.
So, the Golden Age Sandman, Wesley Dodds.
Yeah.
Right? He had like that real pulp look.
Yeah.
With the suit and the cape and the gas mask and the hat.
I think you've got one of those.
He's got he's got the gas gun. He's got all of those kind of like, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then there's the Kirby Sandman, who was like yellow suit, red cape, like a superhero in dreams.
Or is that the one that I got you?
You got me that one.
Yeah.
And that one kind of doesn't work. But then here's the caveat. Neil Gaiman's Sandman brings them all together.
Totally.
They're all part of one story.
Yeah.
And it redeems it and pays it off. But if we're just talking about the attempt, I got to argue that Kirby Sandman, though interesting and cool in its own way because it's Kirby, is like not as good as the original idea of Wesley Dodds Sandman, right?
Yeah.
Like that's my perhaps spicy take on that.
Yeah, no. I agree with that. That's awesome.
Maybe it's that one.
That's a good one.
Because I love that character being more pulpy. And even though like Neil Gaiman, like Morpheus isn't pulpy, but it's that ethereal thing plays so much more into the hand of Wesley Dodds. Even being redeemed in that book, the Kirby Sandman setup is weird, like a colorful superhero in your dreams. Like even Gaiman's Sandman plays it off as like a weird aberration kind of thing.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Next question comes from Kyle, who asks, who is the most respected senior citizen hero?
Most respected?
I mean, you could say Kingdom Come Superman, but
well, but is he the most
I guess
respected?
not
the whole
in the
point of Kingdom Come is that like at least half of
that's fair,
and a whole generation of heroes like
don't
do
give
not
a shit.
respect him
that's
until
fair.
he starts fucking smacking them around.
Sure,
and putting them in
that's
prison.
fair.
I mean,
Alan Scott.
My obvious answers are Alan Scott and Jay Garrick.
Yeah.
Probably Alan Scott more publicly.
Sure.
Jay Garrick, despite being like the Flash or whatever, is actually like a relatively like less. I don't mean less public, like less people know about him.
But he's just not like in the public eye.
And he's not like the one
doing
that's
shit.
like all of you behind me.
Yeah.
That's Alan Scott, right? You know. So it's probably those two. You know, Dr. Fate has a sort of like dubious reputation because Naboo is a real dick.
Yeah.
And depending on Naboo's mood or whatever, like he's sometimes the person they have to fight against.
Fair.
You know, the Hawks are seldom like in that kind of like vanguard role the way Alan Scott is. Wonder Woman, obviously, insanely respected character in the DC universe.
Mm-hmm.
So if you subscribe to the idea that she was there in the Golden Age, then that certainly counts. I mean, she's definitely older than a lot of characters. She's like thousands of years old.
It's true.
My answer is probably Alan Scott. This is a guy who, you know, always in the leadership role. You know, if you were making a Justice Society trinity, you don't do it without Alan Scott, right?
Fair.
And then even as other characters dropped off or retired, you know, Alan Scott is one of the lucky ones that got de-aged. He kept going as Sentinel. When the Green Lantern Corps got wiped out and Kyle Rayner was the only Green Lantern, he was still Sentinel.
Oh, wow.
He, you know, ran Checkmate for a bit. He, you know, is still there in the current continuity. He is on the Totality, the group that like monitor changes to continuity. Like Alan Scott's the guy in Final Crisis that has the worldwide broadcast where he's like, we're organizing our efforts. We're going to stop this motherfucker. Like, it's got to be Alan Scott.
Wow. Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
All right, next question comes from Braydon, registered trademark, the Soapy Donkey, who asks...
This is so much weirder.
It's gotten so disconnected, and it's hilarious.
Yeah.
It's my favorite. It's one of my favorite evolving
If you
names.
tattoo Braydon, registered trademark, the Soapy Donkey, I'm talking to Braden right now.
Okay.
If you tattoo that phrase on your body and send a picture of it to us, that's 100 reviews.
I mean, that'll get us past. That'll get you Lord of the Rings.
I don't want to say it's all on your shoulders, Braden, but this could be over if you just did it.
Wow. The gauntlet has been set.
Yeah.
Braydon goes on to ask, since Jay Garrick was the Flash decades ago, does his speed get slower or can he keep up the pace with heroes like Barry Allen and Wally West?
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Jay, technically speaking, could never keep pace with them.
No. I mean, Wally is the fastest.
Jay's speed is definitively slower. Something like, they might even spell it out. It's like some like factor of the speed of sound.
Oh, wow. That's very slow.
Way slower.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, this changes a little. That was like how it was when he got his powers from hard water vapor.
Oh, yeah. I always forget that.
Just none of those things work.
No.
It's a little bit different once the Speed Force is part of it, but Jay has always been slower than them. You know, Wally is definitively faster than Barry. They're both definitively faster than Jay. But it is one of those things where you see them run together a lot. Like, you get the sense where it's like...
all right, old timer.
But also,
We'll
it's
go
like,
for
for most purposes, we only have to go this fast.
Sure.
It's like when they push, that's when you see the distinctions, but there seems to be like a cruising speed for Flashes if it's not too crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We'll go until you see the little streaky stuff, but that's kind of it. Yeah.
You always kind of get that sense.
Yeah.
There's an interesting thing in this question, though, which is, does your ability to use the Speed Force wane as you age?
Because it's not necessarily connected to your actual body as much as it is you're connecting to a force.
Well, so here's the thing. The speed, I think they are technically metahumans.
Okay.
And that their metagene enables them
to be able to use the speed that they're using.
More naturally connect to the Speed Force.
Yeah.
But ultimately, their power is not genetic.
Yes.
It's the Speed Force.
Kind of, I mean, like Swamp Thing, right? Like, it's connected to the green, but also is like fucking plants. Like,
well, yeah, you know, and Alec Holland has to, like, you know, he is in that explosion with his biorestorative formula.
Yeah.
Like, affects, you know, there's factors. I think it makes sense generally to still have it affects you as you age. I think there's comic proof of it. I'm thinking of like in Infinite Crisis and stuff like that. You know, like I think that you get some Jay being like, it's just, we've been running for some, you know, like you get some of that stuff. So maybe you can make the argument that if it still can, their power comes from the Speed Force, but maybe their ability to use it easily is connected to having like a metagenetic predisposition to channeling the Speed Force. Then if you're getting older and your cells and stuff are breaking down the way they do when you get older, theoretically that should also happen to those kind of cells and genes. Now, it probably happens slower. Jay is way in better shape than he should be at his age, but he also has speed healing and stuff like that because of the Speed Force. But I still do like a general idea of, like, should a 90-year-old Barry Allen be as fast as a 40-year-old Barry Allen? And my answer is no. Like, should he still have the Speed Force and be faster, like, than almost everyone? Yes, but, like, should he be as fast as him in his prime? And I think instinctively I'm saying no.
Which is funny because you're actually talking me into the opposite.
Okay.
Like,
lay it on me.
So I think I'm now kind of being convinced that the older ones should actually be faster
because
than...
they've had, like, it's saturating.
Yeah,
in them
yeah.
kind of
Like
thing.
their connection to the Speed Force has just gotten more and more deep.
It's deeper and stronger.
Yeah, yeah. And if they're if they're, I mean, one, it also goes like, should their body really be like shouldn't they like they just always be the same age and kind of be immortal? But that's a whole other thing.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
if we're talking about the difference between healing and age,
Yeah.
I know that's its own little.
I'm gonna move that to the side, but like if we're talking about like if it comes to your connection, like theoretically, like even Wally, as he's got the strongest connection to the Speed Force, and
Right.
the stronger that connection gets, the faster he seems to get. Theoretically, if you've spent 90 years really understanding how your connection with the Speed Force works, theoretically you could be faster, especially if it doesn't rely on your actual body being faster.
Yeah, I mean,
Canonically, maybe it's the opposite.
Also,
but
though, like what makes you faster is, I think you're right. It's partly about the depth and like experience of your connection with the Speed Force. But there's also just people that just like, they just won't ever be faster than Wally. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like Max Mercury, never going to be faster than Wally. You know, like
yeah.
There's
Also, like,
there's also those things, and it's not about who's what age.
Wally
or
also
who's
has
done
like
it
a more of like
longer.
Wally has a more of like a spiritual connection to the Speed Force. It's like it's
different. But so does Max Mercury, which is
Yeah.
why I brought him
Oh,
up. Like
okay.
they have a similar kind of like
It's also
approach to it.
comics, so yeah.
But totally. Yeah. That's interesting. I
want a story now.
I think you're
Yeah.
like I get where you're coming from. I
Yeah.
don't disagree, but it definitely is like, because I'm thinking in very
Story-based,
normal
yes.
terms or story terms, feels intuitive to me that
Yes.
you lose a step at some point,
Yeah,
even if
yeah.
it's way later than you should.
I do like the idea that there's like an older version of Wally who's just like fucking way faster. Like,
Well, I mean, that's almost like Kingdom Come.
yeah.
Wally, right? Doesn't he just like basically just become like a nonstop
Force.
blur
Yeah.
of Speed Force?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I got comics now.
Oh my god, he kicked down the gate I was keeping.
That's right. You
Oh
can't
my
keep me
god.
out.
Oh my god.
Next question.
Next thing he's going to tell me he's worried about Dark Crisis.
I'm concerned. I have concerns. Next question comes from Truth, Justice, and Hope, who asks, I know that the Detroit Justice League had Steel, and the modern era Justice League had Citizen Steel, but whatever happened to the original World War II Commander Steel?
Right. So you know Citizen Steel.
I do.
Because you've been watching Legends.
Yeah.
You've been on a real like Legends kick lately.
I took a brief secondment so that I could blast through Boba Fett and Reacher, but now that's my next step is to go back.
Yeah, so right. So Steel, we're not talking about John Henry Irons.
No.
Just for anyone listening. We're not talking about him in the steel suit or liquid metal suit or Entropy Aegis suit or whatever.
Sure.
We're talking about these characters who are of the Haywood family. So Nate Haywood is Citizen Steel. He's the one you know from Legends of Tomorrow. Guy that kind of has Colossus powers, essentially.
Yeah.
Sort of an indestructible man is kind of the idea.
Yeah.
The first Steel, I'm just double checking because I'm pretty sure it's. Yeah, he has like. It's not that he has like a liquid steel thing or something. It's like a mad science experiment where they put like mechanics in his body.
All right.
Like kind of not like cyborg-y in that he wasn't like technopathic.
Mm-hmm.
He just had like bits. He was like a mod in Boba Fett or something like that.
Sure.
He just had like machine bits, and it made him like strong and tough and things like that. And he was Commander Steel, but that was like wartime. And so he had like, strength, speed, durability, $6 million man style sort of thing. He couldn't like plug into a computer or do shit like that. I think by the time we get to, I think his son has the exact same procedure happen to him. Possibly, I'm going to get this wrong. Okay, the first Hank Haywood has the procedure done because he's like severely injured, and they make this great super soldier. I'm pretty sure he like that Commander Steel like does the procedure to his son.
Oh,
he's like, no son of mine is not gonna be a like monster like, or whatever, and he like does it to him.
Jeez,
which is kind of fucked up.
Yep.
And then Nate is slightly different.
Citizen.
Because, that's Citizen Steel, I'm pretty sure. He's like the grandson, I think, of the original one.
Yeah, not in the show, but...
But essentially, they're all a version of indestructible, kind of steel skin, strong, speed, all that kind of stuff. Although Steel gets... Oh, how does he die? He dies... in that Detroit Justice League era. Vibe dies first. Gypsy also dies, I think, and so does Steel. Like 3 of them die. And Steel gets like it's like a body horror. Like something like he gets like blown up or like ripped apart or something real horrible happens to him. I actually can't remember precisely how it happens. I think I might even have the issue it happens in. I just don't remember. But he dies pretty ugly, as I recall. Unless that's an earlier Steel. This is the problem with it, is now I can't remember, like, they all have a vaguely, like, that red, white, and blue kind of, with the star uniform, in the middle sort of uniform. So now I'm thinking I got that, maybe that's the second Steel, and not not Citizen Steel. What was the question?
The question was, whatever happened to the original Commander Steel?
I think he just died, like, from being old or something like that. I don't think he's, like, killed in action, as far as I can tell. He certainly lives long enough to, like, fuck with his kid.
When did regular Steel exist? What was the era?
Like John Henry Irons?
Yeah.
So he becomes Steel after Death of Superman. That's part of the reign of the Superman. He's one of the 4 that... So that's in the 90s.
Wait, so Detroit Justice League existed in the 90s?
Earlier, I guess.
Weird.
Yeah.
Weird. That's like saying like Arizona Justice League. Like it just feels so like, why?
Here's the weirdest part. It was led by Aquaman.
What? So he's in the Detroit River?
Yeah. Real bad. Real bad.
Blocking those trucks from coming through.
Justice League, we have a convoy to deal with today.
Weird. Because I'm like, if this was like in the Silver Age or something, I'm like, Detroit was like becoming like what is now like Silicon Valley. But like that was where Detroit was put in.
Okay, I looked it up.
Sure.
So my suspicion was right. It's the second Steel, the son of the Commander Steel, that is the one that dies in the Detroit Justice League.
Oh, okay.
Citizen Steel, Nate Haywood comes later. I had to double check that because I was like, wait a minute, hang on now.
All right.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Next question.
Sorry.
Comes from Lesbian of Many Names, who asks, during his Vertigo years, John Constantine aged in real time, unlike most characters who just stay roughly the same age until they need development. Are there any other characters who actually age? Are there any characters who you think would benefit from aging?
Right. Yeah, I mean, that was like a sort of interesting feature of Hellblazer, is that after a year went by, like, of publishing, Constantine was canonically a year older.
Oh, wow.
Which was a kind of unique thing.
Yeah.
Sort of interesting. Yes, there are characters who age. You know,
usually in chunks, right? Like,
I mean, sometimes all at once.
Yeah.
No, I mean, like the JSAers aged, right? They were getting older.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, sometimes one would get de-aged or one would get accelerated aged or whatever. But like, ultimately, whether or not it happened in exactly the right moment, they essentially got old enough to be like, yeah, you're an old timer.
Mm-hmm.
Just thinking of Wesley Dodds or Ted Knight or characters like that.
Yeah.
There's a kind of thing that happened through the 70s and 80s and 90s where you noticed characters like Hal Jordan, for example, got gray in his hair.
Sure.
Later, this was retconned as being part of the effect of parallax.
Sure.
But for a while, it was just because they were like, Hal's been doing this for a while.
Yeah, he should.
And they
look like
there
he
was a
has.
moderate effort at that.
Sure.
Okay. Characters aging, though. I mean, this is a good point because there's always a retcon, something always resets, or they're always perpetually kind of like. There is the weird aging thing too, where like the sidekicks, the kids age up to like being in their 20s, and then, but like Bruce and Clark still feel like they're like maybe
30,
40,
yeah.
like 38 to 42 kind of thing. So it's like they stay still, you age up to a certain age, and then you stay there.
Yes,
there is definitely that thing in comics. Other than just the blanket statement of saying, wouldn't it be neat to see our characters in comics age? Can you think of a specific character that you're like, I want to see aging happen?
I mean, I'd love to see more specifically like the Constantine type thing with somebody like a Robin, right? Like, I think that's kind of cool. Like taking somebody like Damian and it's like literally watching him like become a different person by like getting older and then forcing them to actually like do more character development with that.
Yeah.
So it's like what they're doing with Super Sons. I mean, it sucks because then they just took like...
Well, because then they aged up John.
Yeah. And it's like, well, that's not what I wanted. But and I do like the idea of a Robin like getting progressively older because it's interesting to see like how's their relationship change with Bruce and like how do they feel about sort of like the position that they're currently in. And yeah, like that I find interesting.
Kent Nelson aged up to being old.
Yeah.
But then he sticks around through magic or whatever, but he's always like old. He's like, oh, I haven't done this, but it's been like 90 years.
Yeah.
So he does the same kind of like hold in place thing, but he just got older first.
Yes.
But that was a whole thing. Like when he handed off the mantle to Eric and Linda Strauss, it was all about him being old and like his body not being able to take Naboo's power anymore. Like that 4-issue miniseries that DeMatteis one is about him aging out.
Mm-hmm.
And then it gets passed to Eric and Linda Strauss to be Dr. Fate. So that's like a story specifically about that.
Mm-hmm. Is there any character you would love to see
age? Interesting. A character I would like to see age,
or would benefit maybe from the aging process,
right? Or would benefit from it. Maybe Raven.
Interesting.
I feel like Raven's been stuck at like either like mid-teens or like at most 18, 19.
Oh, that's interesting. Seeing like an older like Raven.
An adult Raven.
That would be cool.
Because even Starfire is now like Starfire and Dick are
the same age
and feel like it.
Yeah.
But Raven always keeps getting like clawed back.
Yeah.
I think I want to see Raven older.
That would be cool.
Like,
yeah.
What's a 25-year-old Raven? It's like, I live on my own. I'm not like in the Teen Titans. I'm just doing like in the way that we operating more like Zatanna operates, like I think maybe that it would be good for Raven, especially because those stories about Trigon and it's like my father's power and that works so well as a Teen Titans story. Because what is it like to be a teen? My dad wants me to be this thing and I don't want to be it. I know I'm not that, even though he says it's in my blood. But like that's a teen story. That's a coming of age thing.
That gives you such a great opportunity to be able to like, what happens when like Raven has a kid and suddenly is forced with like having to put that same stuff on her own child?
Sure, yeah. I mean, even
that
going
change-
a step further to
that
just
change-
being an adult on her
yeah.
own is that.
Does
too,
that
yeah.
change her relationship with Trigon and like the way that she perceives him? Because it's like, okay, now I understand what this power means, and it feels different than when I was a teen.
And is there like an interesting thing where it's not that Trigon was right, but it's that thing that
Yeah.
like a lot of adults
Yes.
learn, where it's like, I fought against
I
my
get
parents,
it.
but I kind of get it.
I get
Or
some of
maybe
it.
we learn Trigon is like some essential like linchpin
Yeah.
in the way magic works, and
Yeah.
once Trigon like is gone,
Yeah.
it's like someone has to take its, like in the way that Captain Marvel had to take the place of the wizard Shazam
Yeah.
when Shazam died.
Yeah.
It was like, maybe there's a thing like that. So it's not that she becomes an evil tyrant and
No.
does what Trigon wanted her to do,
But
but
just
she
as, like,
recognizes
yeah.
the position of power, or
Yeah.
that there's a responsibility to make sure it's used.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I think Raven is.
That would
my
be a
answer to
really
that.
good. I like that. That's a great choice.
Yeah.
All right, let's leave Twitter and head on over to Instagram.
Now we're going to Instagram. Take some questions and answer them.
First question comes from Delgado Andrew, who
Sorry.
asks,
I'm thinking about it because I'm just so happy that you're actually watching the show. How far in are you to Legends right now?
the like first third of season 3.
How much do you like Nate and Ray?
Oh, I love Nate and Ray. Yeah,
Don't they have the greatest like bromance
it's like
ever?
it's like a really dorky version of Booster and Beetle. Like,
Yeah,
that I think that's what I like, where they like can nerd out about shit.
they
and,
nerd out. They like cause mischief, but it's always like innocent
Yeah,
mischief. It's
yeah,
not like
yeah. The fucking still the whole Star Wars thing is so funny.
Oh yeah. So yeah, it's great.
I love that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, God, what a great show.
Yeah, I'm
Also wild that they were like, you know what, Citizen Steel,
make
like-
him Stinson Steel.
because like that might be. I'm gonna throw it out there. That might be the weirdest main character pull in the Arrowverse,
Yeah,
where they're like, this character is going to be like a lead on our show,
it's
and it's like
apropos of nothing.
that, like, you know what I mean? The other ones are-
Connected to no other
you got
character.
like sure, like Flash, Elongated Men. That
Vixen.
makes sense. We got Vixen in there for a bit. That kind of makes sense. Like they're relatively higher tier, and then they're like Citizen Steel.
Yeah, it is a weird one because it's like not connected deeply to any of the other
It's
characters.
got a good power. Like I like the liquid metal thing. It looks good. It translates well on
I
screen.
wonder if someone just like in the design and effects department was like able to do it, and they were
Yeah,
like,
we just got the Colossus pack.
yeah. Then they were like, oh shit, Citizen Steel.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's what
He's such a weird pull for that show, but I love it.
It is great. First question comes from Delgado Andrew, who asks, what are some of the best relationships between Golden Age villains and their successors?
Villains.
Yeah.
Oh.
So like the person who like takes their mantle, I guess.
Golden Age villains.
And which of them have successors too?
I mean, the one that's coming to mind first, surprising no one because I love that Starman series, is The Mist. So The Mist is the original Starman's archenemy. And as Jack Knight takes up the mantle of Starman, kind of begrudgingly, The Mist sends his kids after Starman, like the Starman family, basically. And Jack Knight kills the Mist's son Kyle.
Yeah.
And then the other kid Nash becomes like his Mist, his archenemy.
And Kyle is the spray.
Jesus. Oh no. Yeah, so and like Jack and Nash have a kid. Like,
okay,
there's a weird kind of thing in there, but like, yeah, Nash's relationship to the Mist is interesting because she's sort of this like very like devoted daughter who's like trying to stand up for the family. She's the opposite of Jack, who is like, I don't get along with my dad, who used to be a hero. I could give a shit about superheroing.
Yeah.
Like, it's interesting that it's like the trait you would expect from someone inheriting a superhero mantle goes to the villain, where she's like, no, I'm like, someone has to do this, like, live up to this, and like, so I honor my family and things like that. And Jack's like, I could give a shit. I just don't. There's a kind of interesting dynamic there.
What about the Brainiacs?
Right. Well, I mean, obviously the relationship is there's a turn.
Yeah, right.
Brainiac 5's whole thing is about
Hero,
atoning
yeah.
essentially for the sins of
Yeah.
the Brainiac lineage. And yet, subsequent generations of Brainiacs are bad again.
Yeah, that's
Brainiac 13's bad.
Yeah.
We maybe get Brainiac 8 at some point.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
But Brainiac 5 and Brainiac are not.
Brainiac, I think 4 might be good too. Brainiac 2 and or 3 are in those like Legion or Rebel series where there's like a period between each
yes,
thing.
the L.E.
And I think it's like they maybe start good and one goes bad or something. Like Brainiac 2 in modern continuity was also bad. So yeah, you're right. There's an interesting, but Brainiac, not a as far as I remember, not a Golden Age character either.
No, really.
Silver Age. I mean, still old by
yeah,
our standards.
yeah.
You know, the 50s and 60s is still like fucking forever
Sure,
ago.
yeah. I guess I figured they were.
The successor thing is interesting. Like Ultra Humanite doesn't really have a successor. The rival has no really relationship to the other Reverse Flashes.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Like Edward Claris doesn't really have like a connection to Zolomon or Thawne or anything. So there's not even a sort of lineage of that other than being in vague terms Reverse Flashes.
Sure, yeah.
The Thinker, I think all of the various Thinkers are sort of separate from each other. But I guess there is that thing of like, there are some like people inherit things. It's the thing we're playing with in the Stargirl show, right? The layers of the Injustice Society. Certainly Icicle and Icicle Jr., right? We had like Joar McKent and then Cameron McKent had their 2 generations of Icicle. There's Brainwave and Brainwave Jr. I guess like the Injustice Society has the most kind of like actual inheritance.
Yes,
of any of those kind of era villains. Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah, that's interesting, though. I mean, we do focus way more on heroes. It's neat to see the villain thing.
Yeah, I can't
especially in that era, because it does kind of feel like it's that weird kind of like honor code thing where it's like, yeah, I'm a villain, but like I'm a family man.
Yeah,
it's the 40s. I'm not just a bachelor. You know, I've got
yeah,
there's like a weird sensibility of that where it's like if Two-Face never had a kid, I would never bat an eye.
Yeah,
but like, but at the same time, all these like Injustice Society guys are like, well, I settled down.
That is very.
Of course, I was still robbing banks, but
one must have a day job.
It's just maybe it's some sort of antiquated.
Yeah, no, that's true. I do like that. Next question comes from Multi Sanchez, who asks, how does the Green Lantern Corps feel about Alan Scott? Are any of them jealous of his costume? I doubt it. I always thought he has the coolest look for a Green Lantern. Really?
I mean, listen, here's the thing.
Really?
Objectively, it's Clash City.
It drives me fucking crazy.
And yet, maybe just purely on nostalgia.
Sure.
When you see that show up, like he's had different costumes over the years. He had one that was a little bit more just like red and green, and it was like more streamlined than that. Like it looks fine.
Sure.
And then for some reason it's like put on an orange shirt with a yellow logo and a green symbol and green pants and a brown belt and a purple cape with yellow on the inside
me fucking crazy.
And a purple mask and call yourself Green Lantern.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, yeah,
it works.
He's back. Like, I don't know. I like it. I like it while acknowledging that it makes zero sense.
Yes.
How does the Corps feel about him? Well, Alan Scott is considered like an honorary member of the Green Lantern Corps. Whether or not this piece of continuity is still true is, I guess, yet to be seen. But there was once a little convoluted piece of continuity where there was like in some sort of like Middle Ages or ancient Chinese village, someone gets a Green Lantern ring or it falls to Earth or something. And it gets like imbued with magical power and they craft it into the lantern, right? or something like that, and there's like a curse, and it's like once will come by, power, once will come by something, once will come by fire, or whatever.
Sure.
Some like prophecy kind of thing with it. And essentially like the alterations or the damage or whatever to the original lantern ring and the presence of magic turn it into the Star Heart, which is the magical power that powers Alan Scott's Green Lantern.
Yeah.
It's connected to like the life web, like almost like the green, to the point where in the New 52 on Earth 2, Alan Scott Green Lantern is the avatar of the green.
Really?
Yeah. And they do this thing where it's like he's like the third part of the prophecy if it comes by fire, because he is in like a train crash and he grabs the lantern and it saves him, and that's the thing. And so ultimately there was this convoluted retcon that was like, even Alan Scott's Green Lantern ring was once one of the core. It's just been like damaged and morphed into this other thing. So it's like he's technically not part of the core. His powers work differently.
At one point, they did try to give him Hal Jordan's ring.
Yes. There's also okay, I'm remembering this thing. So the ancient Chinese thing, he's like using the power for bad or whatever, and someone, a guardian or someone, goes like, he has too much power, so we got to put a different weakness in here. And that's where the wood weakness comes from, because like all the weapons of the era are wood, because that's Alan Scott's weakness is wood.
Yes.
But again, that makes more sense when you consider that like his power is supposed to be more like naturally attuned. So why would you be designed to hurt the thing you're from?
Sure.
Which was why Solomon Grundy was a good archenemy for him, because Solomon Grundy is a zombie imbued with all this like swamp matter and stuff. So like that was a good rivalry. Yeah, all of that was a very kind of convoluted way of being like, technically he's like a true Green Lantern, but he's a different one, but he's kind of like, we'll honor his...
But do you think
he's an honorary Lantern, essentially, in the eyes of the core?
But the whole core feels like that, yeah.
I mean, I don't know if every individual member feels like that, but as an organization, Alan Scott is considered an honorary member of the core.
Sure. All right.
I'm sure maybe there's some alien from some like buttfuck sector that's like, I hate this guy. And it's like, shut up, Crescelian.
Well, I bet when they were trying to give him Hal's ring, he probably didn't love him.
Well, yeah.
All right. Next question comes from Earl Kababat, who asks, when
did that happen? Is that in the first like crossover between them? Is that in that Silver Age?
It's in like the very beginning of Volume 2. It's like issue 40.
Right. Oh, okay. Yeah.
So, Earl Kababat asks, does Batman or Lex have any pension plans for their team? Or a home for the elderly heroes / villains? Also, say happy birthday to Stephen Almagro. Oh, happy birthday.
Is Earl Kababat Stephen Marion Almagro?
Or are they just friends?
Oh my God, there's people that know each other in real life.
Oh my God, I don't like this. I don't like that's too close.
They're unionizing.
Oh no. God, I knew the Doc Squad was going to eventually take it over.
The Doc Squad votes to unionize. I'm actually not allowed to run a book club. I've been on here 12 hours already today.
You fucking scout.
Looking for new patrons to cross the picket line.
Yep.
That's so funny. Okay. I got a little bit of depressing news here. Depressing piece of news number 1. Lex and villains don't care enough about each other to set up like
a pension plan,
safety net.
Sure.
When they work together, it's like for limited periods of time. It's not really like because we've got a system.
But what about?
I mean, the closest.
What about their team though? Like even like his like I bet that LexCorp,
yeah, but that's not like working for him as a villain.
Well, it's just saying, but like pension plans for their team.
But if you work at LexCorp, yeah, absolutely,
yeah,
of course,
yeah,
absolutely,
of course. Probably a very good one.
I would imagine.
Yeah.
Same if you're working for Wayne Industries. Mm-hmm. A great one. No matter who you are at Wayne Industries. If you're like a janitor, willing to bet you get like a pension, not just like...
And I bet...
They probably RSP match.
Well,
401k.
I was going to say, I'm like...
you in the States.
I bet that Alfred has a pretty decent pension.
Well, I mean,
Well,
Alfred was literally a billionaire.
Yes.
And gave it all to Dick Grayson.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
But does the Bat family?
Not like in their capacity as Bat family members.
Because Bruce,
like,
I mean,
here's the thing: because they're part of the family, they're in his will.
Yeah.
But in the way that you're in, like, your family will. Like, it's not like, and you didn't sign something who's like, as Robin, you get like 7 sick days.
I mean,
you got, like,
of all the characters to do it, like, I wouldn't be surprised if Bruce was the one to do it.
well, especially now, he's only a millionaire. He's got to pinch those pennies.
Oh, yeah.
We can't just be giving out vacation days willy-nilly.
Yeah, Bruce is a poor now.
Yeah, he's only a millionaire.
Ugh.
He has to live in Gotham.
Yuck.
Ugh.
Oh, my God. He has to take the SkyTrain.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, I mean, the closest you get to, like, villains looking out for each other is, like, when they are in the secret society. You get that thing in Identity Crisis of, like, Captain Boomerang being like, calculator, mate, I just need a fucking gig. And he's like, all right, one more just for you. But, like, just here's the contract. Like, they don't actually have, like, a safety net. It's just like, do this gig, like, maybe you'll get paid, kind of thing. In One Star Squadron, I don't know if you read the first issue yet or
No, not yet.
There's a organization, like a private business called Heroes for You.
Okay, yes.
Colloquially known as the One Star Squadron. That's a bunch of, like,
is this like a Heroes for Hire kind of joke? Yeah.
It is, and sometimes it's to do security work, and sometimes it's to, like, make birthday party appearances.
Cute.
And so, like, I guess theoretically that company may offer some sort of incentive package kind of thing.
What about the Justice League?
I mean, Justice League is just money. Again, it's not like formal things.
That
like,
we know
no
of.
one on the Justice League gets a salary for being on the Justice League. Let's put it that way.
We're aware of.
Well, no, they don't. They, like, wait, are you saying there's some sort of cover-up?
Just saying, maybe it's behind the pages.
No, like, there's no, it's not like you're a Justice League member, here's your $10,000 stipend or something like that. It's just like, you're doing a Justice League mission, like, Bruce and Ollie will cover it.
Sure.
It's more just like that. We need another Javelin to fly into deep space. It's like, I guess I'll pay to do that.
Sure.
It's more just that than anything. You know what I mean? I don't think there are formal structures. And the last time we saw, like, we take care of our own formal structure, it ended horribly. Looking at you, Sanctuary.
Fair.
And a lot of heroes die before they get to just age out. Or they retire and they don't want to live at a fucking home.
Yeah.
Is the other piece.
Yeah. That's why they don't get insurance.
Look,
it's just
so sad.
As an insurance company, it just doesn't make sense to.
Well, no, yeah. I mean, who would insure a superhero?
All right, next question comes from Dan Hummer 97.
Give her the old Dan Hummer.
The problem is that my brother's name is Dan
Hummer.
One of my brother's names is Dan. Yeah, one of my brother's names is Hummer. One of my brother's names is Dan, and in 97 I would have been 10. So,
and in 97 he gave someone a Hummer.
Maybe. Who knows?
Not the car.
Yeah, I figured we all were on the same page about
Just
that.
making sure.
All right, thanks for clarifying that about my brother. Dan Hummer 97 asks, what was the Golden Age's Sandman story all about? Always thought he had an interesting look, and we talked a little bit about that already.
Yeah, so Wesley Dodds, this is the pulp looking one with the gas mask and the gas gun. He would get these, like, visions sort of thing, like, not necessarily premonitions, but things like that. And essentially it was like he's getting access to this is a later retcon, but he's getting access to, like, the power of the dreaming. The big retcon in the Gaiman Sandman thing is that the sand of the Sandman, his kind of random connection was that when Morpheus was captured and, like, held prisoner on the mortal plane, the universe, like the cosmos, tried to fill that gap because, like, one of the endless was gone.
Sure, yeah.
It's like someone has to be Dream, and so fragments of his power end up in vestiges of these other people, in the Dreamstone of Dr. Destiny, in the sand of Wesley Dodds, in, you know.
Do you think we'll see any of that in the TV show? That would be bonkers.
I mean, it's in the book. It's, like, literally in there, so I don't see why we wouldn't.
Because that would be cool to see the old, like...
You know, I mean,
Kirby.
like, Dr. Destiny is, like, a main character in that, like, first arc of
Yeah.
Sandman or whatever. I don't see why we wouldn't.
Probably not in this season, but it would be.
I think we would.
Really?
I think his character's name is just called like Mr. D or something like that. But like that's Dr. Destiny.
That's cool.
It's part of the story of it because like Morpheus has to get these like items back, and he's talking about how like the cosmos tried to find a substitute dream, basically. So. That's a retcon, but
Sure.
Wesley Dodds always had this kind of thing, and the gas gun would like put people to sleep. So he was he's the Sandman. It's like that was kind of his deal. But other than that sort of like passive kind of thing, he didn't really have like a power. He wasn't super strong. He wasn't super fast. He was a mystery man. Like he would go and investigate, and he'd like punch guys in the dick, and he'd like sneak into offices late at night and like break open a desk with a knife, like he would do that kind of stuff. That's the sort of character he was, and he's canonically even old by the standards of the JSA.
Oh wow.
He's older even than that, but he's one of like those like the early days like masked Avenger kind of heroes. So if you think of like, there's the war era superheroes.
Yeah.
Then just before them, you have your like
detectives with capes.
You have like maybe your like Crimson Avenger. It's Wesley Dodds Sandman. You got like Slam Bradley, Dr. Occult. You have like those kind of guys.
They're detectives with capes, essentially. Yeah. It's like Dick Tracy, essentially.
Yeah. There's a great, Sandman Mystery Theater is a series about Sandman. That Sandman.
Yeah.
But then there's also like Wesley Dodds has a Sandman Mystery Theater spins out of, I believe, the arc that Wesley Dodds has in that 90s Starman series. Jack Knight seeks out Wesley Dodds, and they go on an adventure together.
Yeah.
And then also, of course, there's some Dodds connections in Sandman, the game and series, but he's actually more prominent in that Starman series. Mm-hmm. So yeah, like there's spots to go like check him out. They had a different kind of more modern, like mainstream take on him in the New 52 on Earth 2. Mm-hmm. He was a Canadian member of the World Army, and he could like teleport through like sand portals or something like that. That's a kind of different one. The classic one is basically a mystery man who sometimes would get these kind of prophetic sort of visions.
That's awesome. All right. That means we are leaving Instagram and heading on over to Reddit.
Where everyone's nice and no one's ever mean.
That's right. First and only question for Reddit comes from Chris DeSanto, who asks, is there any place to read Zatanna stories?
Zatanna?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought
Zatara. Sorry.
Zatara.
Zatara.
Oh, yes. Zatara, yes. So, Giovanni Zatara is Zatanna Zatara's father.
Yes.
Also, like the same general shtick. Stage magician who is a member of the Homo Magi, like a race basically of like genetically predisposed to magic humans.
Sweet.
And he does real magic by speaking backwards. It's the backwards spell casting thing that Zatanna does. Fun fact, Zatara's first appearance, Action Comics #1.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Both Zatara and Superman first appear in that issue.
Wow.
So Zatara's been around a very long time.
Yeah.
He had lots of adventures in Action Comics. There are some stories with Zatara, I think, in like Adventure Comics. And
maybe he would have been a bigger character had he not his first issue big with Superman.
That probably hurt, him and like whatever fucking like it's me, Bam Bam Lasso, the cowboy. Yeah. It's like, well, we're never gonna see him again.
Nope.
Like fucking.
It's very funny.
But Zatara shows up a lot. Well, I shouldn't even say a lot. He shows up maybe more consistently once Zatanna is more of a character. But there are Zatara stories through Action Comics and, like I said, Adventure Comics and stuff like that. There's one where he gets like injured and he meets his wife, Cindella. They have a child, Zatanna. You get some Zatara stories that happen in like the 150s or 160s of the Justice League of America series in the Silver Age, or rather, there's Zatanna stories that are heavily centered around Zatara and that history and her relationship with him and stuff like that. Zatara's iconic death happens in Swamp Thing number 50. Swamp Thing 48 to 50 is basically kind of like while the crisis is happening elsewhere, a bunch of the magicians of the DC universe get together to fight the Great Darkness.
Whoa.
This thing that is now coming back for Dark Crisis.
Cool.
They get together to fight the Great Darkness. And while that's happening, there's some that are in the one realm fighting, and that's like Etrigan and Swamp Thing and Phantom Stranger are doing shit over there. And then in the real world, there's a sort of like seance of power happening to hold them off on a different front. And when this whatever evil thing like looks at like Sargon the sorcerer, he like bursts into flames, like he's in this circle, and Zatara is like, don't you dare let go of your fucking hands, even as he's like burning to death.
Wow.
Because they have to keep the magic going. And then the thing turns and looks at Zatanna, and Zatara is like, I think fucking not, and does a spell to turn it to him, and then he gets like burned to death and like sent to hell essentially.
Wow.
And Zatanna blames Constantine because Constantine roped him into it and everything. There's a whole thing there. There have been lots of revisits of that and retcons to like what actually happened to Zatara there. You know, I think you see Zatara in Reign in Hell. It's a miniseries in the 90s. I think you see him in there in Hell. I think he leads like a revolt in Hell or something.
That's cool. Why did he go to hell?
He's,
pedophile.
Turns out.
Yeah. Wow.
No.
Jesus.
Cheated on his taxes.
Yeah. Good then.
There's the more recent continuity thing is that he always knew he was going to end up there, and like he was in on the plan to fight the Great Darkness, and he was like, Constantine, you better look after my fucking kid, like, and it had to do with the dark multiverse and the upside down man and Zatara trying to hold him off for eternity and that. So there are places to find Zatara. I mean, it's become a thing where it's like, I kind of hope people writing Zatanna stop writing about Zatara.
Really?
Because it's getting a little too much like, we get it. Your dad's death is traumatizing and this is a thing.
Yeah, sure.
It's a little too much of like a anchor around her neck right now.
And that's like not something that DC is known for doing.
No. I mean, watching Zatara burn to death is like a more niche, like specific version of watching the pearls fall.
Yeah. Or I don't know, you know, Hal's dad exploding.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, there are places to find them. So yeah, like I said, in that Silver Age Justice League of America, I think it's somewhere in the 150s or 160s.
Sure.
There's like a several issue thing that invokes Zatara. There's like Golden Age stuff in Action Comics and Adventure Comics. There's Reign in Hell, Justice League Dark in the kind of most recent era. Not the backup stories, but when it had its own series. There's lots of places to see Zatara. Swamp Thing, 48 to 50.
Nice.
Key Zatara story.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with that, let's leave Reddit and head on over to the Doc Squad.
Docs is a Doc Squad. I'm gonna dox it all night. Scored.
Nice.
I mean, faster than I usually come up.
That's
with
true. Yeah. I'm impressed.
I'll take it.
That's nice. All right. First question from the Doc Squad comes from Butt Brother Crow, who asks, can we take a moment to talk about the truest zaddy dye beard daddy of them all, John the Chainsaw Economos? What role does he play in the comics? Any big stories where he is a central or supporting character? 11th Street Kids Forever.
Peacemaker.
Oh,
you got to watch Peacemaker, man.
I know I need to finish it.
So on Peacemaker, the character of John Economos, that's Steve Agee. That's who he plays.
Okay.
But
isn't Steve Agee also in the Suicide Squad as the like crew? So he's also a character.
It's the same character.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Is this like a superhero?
What?
I'm trying to understand like why, like the
You haven't watched any of Peacemaker yet.
I've only watched the first 2 episodes.
Did you not even see the post-credit scene in The Suicide Squad?
No.
Where he and Harcourt have to go and like pick up Peacemaker at the hospital, and they're like, Waller's doing this to us as punishment.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
It's the same character.
Oh, okay.
So basically it's like Peacemaker needs a support crew for the mission, and so it's like a smaller version of the crew that manages the Suicide Squad, essentially.
Yes, okay.
So that's the character as he stands in the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker. He's sort of like a tech guy, like a guy in the chair sort of type.
Yeah.
But John Economos is like a character in the comics.
Oh, wow.
I mean, not like a huge character, but definitely you could see if someone was reading the comics and they were like, I need a name for a character, they were like, well, throw him in. As I recall, in the Ostrander run, so the run that sort of kicked off this idea that the Suicide Squad wasn't just like a group of soldiers, it was like villains press ganged into government work. John Economos was actually the warden of Belle Reve prison. I don't know how many issues he shows up in. And to be honest, I can't even remember if he was ever like super important.
Sure.
Other than working kind of alongside Waller. Waller ran Task Force X.
Yeah.
Economos ran Belle Reve prison. That's the short version, basically. So that's, I mean, very different than how Economos is in the DCEU, but who knows? Maybe they'll set him up to take over the prison, which I mean, they've done no groundwork for that at all. That's 100% not going to happen. But that's who that character is in the comics.
Fair.
For the most part, what we're seeing here is like a tangential connection to the Suicide Squad, and otherwise it's just repurposing a name mostly.
Totally.
Yeah.
Next question comes from ass butt fart butt.
Well, he might have had a beard and glasses. Like he might have even had like a similar look. Actually,
oh, okay.
Weirdly, now that I'm thinking about it. Yeah.
Okay. Ass butt fart butt asks, did Jack Knight and Ted Knight have all the same abilities through their cosmic weapons, or were there differences?
Right. Oh. This is my kind of question.
All right.
Yeah, all the rest of you step your pussy up.
Jesus Christ. Haven't heard that line before.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Also, your teeth are bleeding.
Are they?
Yeah.
I thought I tasted.
Yeah.
Oh. What did I do?
I don't know.
I hit myself or something.
I was just like, I just looked over and saw what I look like when I grab my teeth pulled. My wisdom teeth pulled.
This question was so good, my mouth bled.
I know. Just like, just make it till next week, all right?
I'll do what I want. Me on the plane, blood in my mouth. Can I have another drink?
Can't wait to look at comic book.
Right. So we're talking about the difference between the original gravity rod that Starman Ted Knight, the Golden Age Starman, used, and the cosmic staff that Jack Knight and then later Stargirl Courtney Whitmore would use.
Okay.
They're both based on relatively the same technology. The gravity rod is the earlier version. The cosmic staff is a later version.
Sure.
The gravity rod essentially worked. I mean, this is about as silly as hard water vapor. The gravity rod worked by like absorbing the celestial power of stars and then nullifying gravity.
Sure.
It could also do some like energy projection, like shoot beams and stuff. It would help you fly. Those types of things. The cosmic staff
helps you fly.
Does like the same sort of stuff, energy manipulation, beams, help you fly, all that kind of stuff. It also had a sort of the cosmic staff can make like some limited hard light constructs.
Oh, okay.
And also it's slightly different from the show, but you can build a connection to the staff.
Okay. It's not like
it's not like alive way it is on the show.
Sure.
Where it's like fucking have an R2.
And you can have arguments with it, yeah.
But it was a thing where it's like the more you used it, the more it like bonded with you. You could like summon it.
Sure.
You could like do like that kind of shit. So the cosmic staff had that, and it could also make like force fields and stuff. Like it could do like more things
Cool.
than the gravity rod could.
Nice.
Yeah. But yeah, it's interesting. You know, we talked about these things making transitions from
Silver
Golden
Age
to Silver Age, and don't even think about like things like the equipment. But that's like, there's like an actual improvement over time in the technology used by Starman.
Totally.
Which is kind of neat.
Last question comes from Richard's favorite resident. That's Bruno, baby.
Bruno.
Bruno, who asks, can you talk a bit about the OG zaddy of them all, Vandal Savage?
Oh, yeah.
Why is he immortal?
Fuck yeah.
What powers? Dude, you're going to make your mouth bleed. Calm down.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't even know how it happened. When did I hurt
I don't know. You were
all
just,
my teeth fall out.
it was when you went, nom, 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 nom. I was like, nope, can't.
I love every once in a while my body just goes, no.
It's true. Something about podcasts, your body's actually like being like,
I haven't talked about it on the show, but I don't give a shit yet. When I texted you like a week and a half ago, and I was like, who's got two thumbs and took a shit so big they passed out in the bathroom?
My response was, there's too many things about this that I want to deal with. There's so many things that need to be addressed.
Yeah.
My
I'm worried that I'm starting to like the sensation of fainting.
Oh no. Oh no. I could just see the light for a
It's
moment.
a flatliner situation,
Yes.
but only when I take a shit.
So something about the feeling of taking a shit that feels so good plus passing out.
Yeah, maybe it's both. Who knows?
My wife was telling me to like start like putting laxatives in your like food and drink like secretively just to like keep you regular.
I'm fine.
Famous last words.
I'm fine. Bleeding from the mouth.
Just passing out.
Shitting.
Yeah.
That's the thing I gotta watch out for. I can't have it be like a Pavlovian thing.
Oh,
where like
no.
it starts with me shitting and I pass out because of that, and then the next thing you know, I'm passing out, my body's like, I guess we should be shitting.
now.
Like
It's been the path so far, I guess. Yeah. Come on, keep up, shit.
man, Docmas 2022.
Oh no, just a pool of blood and shit with you on the floor unconscious. It's just, I mean, it was gonna end this way, one way or another.
Another live stream, baby. That's why you tuned into the live
That's
stream.
right, 'cause
You can always listen to the episodes.
We're not gonna
later, but-
air that. I'll air it. Don't worry. Okay. So, why is Vandal Savage immortal? What powers does he have, and how has he influenced the DCU through the years?
Right. So we talked a little bit about him from the start.
Mm-hmm.
Vandal Savage, 50 or 80 or whatever it is, 1,000 years ago,
Sure.
is like a, again, I don't know what you call this era. Neolithic? Is it the Neolithic era
Oh, I don't
or
know.
something? But at any rate, he's essentially a caveman. His name is Vandar Adj. And a radioactive meteorite hits Earth, and he gets close to it and kind of basks in the glow of the radiation.
Ooh, glow feel good. Caveman.
Oh, I see. Still English though, huh? Thank you.
Have you not played the Caveman game together yet? With the big.
Oh, we did. Yeah. So he basks in the glow of the radiation.
We'll play that Caveman game this week.
And it grants him immortality.
Mhm.
In addition to that, it also like enhances his intellect. He is like, if it's not definitively that he's super strong, he has like enhanced strength.
Sure.
I won't say super strong, like he can lift the house, because that's not true, but like he's definitely like enhanced. But he becomes super intelligent, and he can't die. He's fully immortal. If you cut him and he bleeds out, he still gets back up. If you like stab him through the heart and ruin his heart, it rebuilds. Like he can't be killed, essentially. That's essentially his power. And then with that enhanced intellect, he kind of goes out into the world. Over the course of history, he has both been, or he's been like the counsel to some of history's greatest conquerors and or tyrants. I think Vandal Savage claims he was Genghis Khan, and maybe also Alexander the Great, or possibly even Caesar, among other things. He's also like assisted or been counsel to like Napoleon Bonaparte, Adolf Hitler, et cetera, et cetera. He's meant to be present at the rise and fall of all sorts of great civilizations, including, I think he's implicated in the sinking of Atlantis.
Well, that's right. Yeah. You've talked about this before.
I think he's part of that. Now, here's the Vandal Savage as a character has taken on such a life of his own. He's such like a major villain in DC that I think we often forget that he had a specific archenemy that was not like the Flash, like he normally fights or he started fighting the Flash or whatever.
Yeah.
His archenemy is the Immortal Man, who is another caveman from his time.
So funny.
Who takes a chunk of the radioactive meteorite and as like an amulet. And that the power he gets is that when he does die, he comes back in a new persona.
And it's not like memories of...
And I'm pretty sure it's like not from Baby.
But like memories
of...
okay.
So he can
So it's
die.
like a quantum leap situation?
No, I think it's like you kill him and then he gets back up and he's someone new.
But
I think.
that same age.
But if I'm being...
Or maybe not.
But if I'm being honest... Immortal Man dies in Crisis on Infinite Earths. Like he uses the power of the amulet and stuff to help something during the crisis that I don't fully remember.
Where did the like meteor come from?
Space.
Okay, not like a specific place.
Oh no, I mean, well, maybe it's been retconned to be something specific, but I don't think so.
Sure. Okay.
So they have different versions of a live forever thing going on. After the Immortal Man dies, Vandal Savage's like quote unquote arch enemy becomes Mitch Shelley, the Resurrection Man, who every time he dies, the Tektites in his blood piece him back together, bring him back to life, and he gains a power related to how he died.
Why does he not like other immortal people so much?
Well,
there can only be one.
Highlander rules.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair. What is his powers?
Vandal Savage?
Yeah.
Other than enhanced intellect, complete immortality.
Yeah.
I would argue enhanced strength and like physical skills and stuff.
But
like
also
that.
Just because he's been around forever, he's just learned so much.
It's more that than any. I mean, he does have an enhanced intellect, but it's more that like he has lived so long, he has done so many things in many lives. We talk about it being a conqueror and stuff like that, but he's also dedicated entire lifetimes to just be like, I'll just do poetry, I'll do art. He's accomplished in every field. He's an engineer. He's a scientist. He's a politician.
Sure.
He's a strategist. He's a philosopher. He's the most polymath.
Though it's
that there
funny,
could
like
be.
if he doesn't have like extremely high intellect and like memory capabilities, like could he actually do any of those other things again? Like I think about like when I try to play like a video game I was good at as a kid and I can't do it. Like
I suspect that's where he has like enhanced intellect piece comes in. It's not just that he learns a bunch over time.
That he's just been around forever. Yeah.
He also has an enhanced ability.
He can retain that information and stuff. Yeah.
Exactly.
But yeah,
Vandal Savage also was like deemed he was Cain, right? But the religion
of Cain and Abel,
the religion of crime was like he's Cain of Cain and Abel.
Oh wow!
And so when they stab him with the spear of destiny, and he becomes Cain, he gets the mark of Cain, and he uses the spear of destiny to like shackle the Spectre and control the Spectre.
Wow.
This is during Final Crisis.
Sure, because everything fucking happens in Final Crisis.
It all happens in Final Crisis. Yeah, I mean, Vandal Savage is
pretty fucking badass.
Pretty badass. And, again, he's been around so long, like he knows every fighting style. He knows all the. It's not that it's not that he's like the best martial artist. He's like just way down on that list.
But
he's just ferocious and he can't be killed. So like, it's one thing when you're fighting someone, it's like they also don't want to get stabbed. But he doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, fucking stab me. It'll
so
hurt.
Like
but like
he's
it's
maybe
fine.
like technique not as good, but he's just like, I'm
I'll
going to
be
keep
all
coming
right.
for you.
Yeah. That makes just somebody. That's like when you like fight like you know, like the kind of privileged white kids you like fight in like outside malls, and they're just like they just have everything in front of them and they just don't care. Like,
I don't know what you're talking about.
you've never. Oh God.
You fought privileged white kids.
Well,
in
I can
front
just say
of
white
malls?
kids, but yeah.
Yeah.
Just like kids who don't realize how good they've got it, and they just are fucking looking for something to like make their life more
Oh,
complicated.
they're picking the fight.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Just like fucking Eminem bleached hair and like wife beaters.
I mean, very specific time and place.
I'm just thinking about when I was a kid.
2001.
They're just like, nothing can hurt me. I'm gonna kill you. Yeah.
I mean, also where you grew up, man.
What? It's not normal.
Jesus.
Well, that's the last question.
Oh, good.
Which means it's time to play everybody's favorite game.
Oh, yeah.
Can you guess the name of a character based on someone who does not read comic books? Can describe that character to us. If you don't know how the game works, I send a character to my wife, well, specifically in the photo, who does not read comic books other than Paper Girls, which she's now gotten all 3 of the like deluxe volumes.
Very nice.
Very excited about that. She's been diving into the second one, but otherwise does not know anything about DC Comics specifically, and doesn't know who these characters are. She sends back 4 clues describing what she sees. It gets more complicated now she's read stuff. I don't like it. I'm going to take the books away.
Paper Girls?
Yeah.
How's Paper Girls affecting this?
It affects me by saying comic books is a flat statement. I don't like it. It's unclean.
I'm going to take the books away.
Yeah.
Jesus. My wife is reading and I don't like it.
Yeah,
Listen to yourself, man.
Yeah, she's bettering herself.
History's greatest monster.
That's it. I'm taking a helicopter with a gun.
Oh, yeah, that episode will have come out.
Yeah. No, that's just my general
Fetch me
policy.
my mortar.
That's step 3. Slow down.
Sorry.
I hit you with some fucking asparagus water. Hot asparagus water. Listen to this week's special if you haven't.
Oh, God.
All right, 4 clues. Are you ready? You got last week's, didn't you?
I did not.
Oh, you did not? Oh, yeah.
I got to the point where I was just going to be like radio wave guy.
You got so
I
fucking
was
close.
but I didn't.
Ah!
I didn't get airwave.
So close.
Sorry.
All right. First of 4 clues. Here we go. First clue is carries around rebar as a weapon in a thigh holster.
Rebar as a weapon in a thigh. Red Hood?
No.
Nightwing?
No.
Specifically rebar? That's what the quick clue is.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Photos.
Sure.
Extra complicated.
Sure. Right. Okay. Conduit.
No.
Next clue, please.
Okay. Next clue. Yellow and black.
And it's not conduit?
No.
Duke Thomas.
No.
The Signal.
No.
It's yellow and black. Bumblebee.
No.
Mammoth.
No.
Bolt.
No.
And rebar in a holster on the side, on the leg.
Yeah, on the thigh.
Yellow and black. Next clue, please.
Third clue. Sci-fi knight.
A sci-fi knight? What does that even mean? I just gotta start naming things. Shining Knight.
Nope.
Vigilante.
No.
It's not yellow and black. But...
No.
Deadline?
No.
It's not Gangbuster.
No.
It's not Guardian.
No.
It's not the Ray.
No.
It's not Wave Rider.
No.
It's not. Okay, hang on. Rebar in the thigh.
Mm-hmm.
Yellow and black.
Mm-hmm.
Sci-fi night.
Mm-hmm.
It's not Starman.
No.
It's not. Last clue, I guess.
This is where you'll get it, baby. I believe in you. Probably loves chess and only moves in an L shape.
So they definitely dressed like a knight. But who's dressed like a knight? I mean, is it Knight of Knight and Squire?
No.
Is it the Atomic Knights?
No.
Is it dressed like a knight? It's not, and it's not Shining Knight. Yellow and black. You're looking at me like I should know this.
I mean, you're going to be real mad if
Yeah,
you
I
don't
know.
get
I
this.
hate it when I get that look too. Aries?
No.
It's not Aries. It's yellow and black. Wonder Woman?
No.
Yellow and black.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't some other fucking Batman thing, is it?
Mm-mm. Nope. We mentioned this character in this episode.
Okay, hang on.
Like a couple times.
Hang on. Yellow and black.
Uh-huh.
Sci-fi night.
Yeah.
Holster.
Yeah.
Rebar.
Yeah.
And then another clue to reinforce that they must look like a knight or be on a horse or something. 'Cause if they're playing chess, that's
Uh-huh.
and they move in an L shape.
Uh-huh.
A character we talked about in this.
Like a
episode.
couple times I've mentioned them. Yeah.
Vandal Savage.
No. Yeah, because all of that stuff leads up to Vandal
I know.
Savage.
At this point, I just gotta name characters I talked about. Sergeant Rock?
No.
No, hang on. Shut the fuck up. Hang on.
Don't even breathe.
I swear to fucking God.
So close.
The Atom?
No. I showed you a book with this character, like maybe the last time we were here or the week before.
I really gotta pay attention when you talk to me.
Do you want to see the character?
Hang on. It's not Black Canary. It's not Green Lantern. It's not the Flash. It's not the Atom. It's not Starman. It's not Sandman. It's not the weird Kirby Sandman.
No.
It's not Morpheus,
No.
the Dream Lord.
No.
It's not Dr. Destiny.
No.
It's not the Mist.
No.
It's not Nash. It's right. It's of course not Vandal Savage. It's not Black Canary.
Nope.
It's not. It's not Lex. It's not Batman. It's not. It's not Commander Steel.
Nope.
It's not Citizen Steel.
Nope.
It's not Steel.
No.
It's not Vibe.
No.
It's not. This is gonna make me so angry.
It really will.
I'm so upset already. I'm already so. It's not the immortal man.
No.
It's not the resurrection.
No.
It's not Necron or Black Hand.
No.
It's not.
Just going through everything you
I'm
mentioned.
trying.
today.
That's all I've got at this point. Like even if I win it, it's like not. I'm like, ugh. Even if I win it, it's a push. I think.
Do you want to see the character?
No. Give me a sec. It's not the Ultra Humanite.
No.
It's not Zatara.
No.
It's not Satana.
No.
It's not the Great Darkness.
No. No.
It's not.
It's so crazy you haven't gotten it yet.
I'm so angry.
You
right
should be
now.
furious. Like this is a deep cut character, and normally I would feel worse, but the fact
But
that
we talked about
we
it.
talked
yeah.
about it, and I've shown you a book of this like recently.
It's not lightning.
No.
It's not thunder. It's not black lightning.
No.
It's not. It's not Vixen.
A Action Comics beat.
I mean, I'm thinking about it. It's not Dr. Occult.
No.
It's not. Raven.
No.
It's not.
Submit.
It's not the Flash. It's not Impulse. It's not Max Mercury. It's not Black Flash. It's not Reverse Flash. It's
No.
not.
Submit.
I'm so angry.
You should be.
It's not Parallax.
No.
It's not Sinestro.
No. Stop naming characters randomly.
It's all I have.
You've lost the thread.
I totally have. I'm just like
You're just naming things.
Mongol.
Yeah, you're just naming things that pop in your head now.
I'm so angry.
Do you want to see the photo?
Yes. It's not Black Adam.
It's not. Just give it up, man. You're not gonna get it.
Wait, that's not Conduit?
It's a member of Checkmate,
Oh,
baby.
Oh, fuck yeah.
the organization you mentioned like 2 or 3 times today, and I have that book that I recently just got.
It's just one of the knights.
Yeah, it's one of the knights of
Checkmate.
Checkmate. Yeah.
Do you know what, though? When my
Sure.
guess is when I was like Conduit, Deadline, or whatever, design-wise,
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
on the right track.
You-
I just,
Yeah,
I
no.
missed it.
Especially when it was like, probably likes chess. I was like, well, there you go.
I mean, I hate it when you say, now you'll get it.
Oh,
I'm like,
I know.
well, fuck.
But what's funny is that like it should be the thing that you get. I'm not just doing it and saying like yellow and black. Like
I'm so upset that my like Conduit Deadline instinct was so right and I just didn't
I know.
land it.
What's funny?
It's one thing when I'm just like not close.
Yes.
This is worse.
This is not like Batman level, but it's pretty high up there for sure of your defeats.
I don't know about that. It's still relatively weird.
It's a weird character, but the fact that we mentioned them.
We mentioned Checkmate a bit, but yeah, even that was like offhand. It wasn't like
No.
we didn't like talk about Checkmate. So.
Did someone ask a question about Checkmate?
They
though?
just mentioned that
Sure.
Alan Scott was part of Checkmate.
Yeah. Well, were any of you residents able to guess
Of course you
a
weren't.
member of Checkmate?
Of course you weren't.
Well, we would love to know, or you can send us a question for next week's episode.
Yeah, next week's episode, as voted on by our Golden Age patrons, we're talking about relationships in the DC universe. So iconic ones that didn't work out, fraught ones. I think generally we're talking about romantic relationships, but I suppose they don't have to be.
Yeah.
send your questions about that.
Absolutely. Also, you can reach out to us through our various social media platforms like our Facebook,
Dr. DC Podcast.
our Twitter,
At Dr. DC.
Instagram,
Dr. DC
our
Podcast.
email.
DrDCPodcast@gmail.com.
We've got a subreddit.
r/Dr_DC.
The duck phone is always open.
208-917-3238.
That's 28917 DCEU.
If you're of the nasty variety.
Yes, if you've got a penchant for nastiness.
Yeah. Do you have any nastiness varietals?
Yeah. I only have nasty light.
Natty Light?
Oh, hey, not good. Also, we're super cool and young and we're on TikTok.
At Dr. DC.
That's right. We've also got a website because we're old.
DrDCPodcast.com or .ca.
We also want those 5-star reviews.
Yes, please. Keep sending them.
Or get a tattoo of our podcast, and that counts as 100 reviews.
That's all. If you get a tattoo specifically of like something that could only be related to our podcast,
100 reviews.
That's 100 reviews.
Easy.
I can't deny that commitment.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But if you get it and it's only like kind of, it doesn't count.
It can't just be like about a DC Comic.
No,
Lots
no,
of
no,
things
no,
are
no.
about DC Comics.
No. It has to be about
The
this
Braidon
show.
thing, that's a joke only from
Yeah.
this show.
If you got a 5-star review
If you get a
tattooed,
tattoo of Shrek Morrison,
oh my God. You better believe that's 100 reviews.
yeah. Okay.
Can you continue?
No.
If you get a tattoo of a 5-star review of our podcast, that's 200 reviews.
I mean, I don't know about that. It's still just a tattoo that we'll get to see. I think it's just 100. What? I'm not just giving out reviews.
Yeah, but if it's of a review of our podcast for the rest of their life, it's telling people to come to listen to our podcast.
No, it's still just 100.
105?
No. This is not negotiable.
Very funny. Also, bad sign that I jump that low when I'm in negotiation mode.
You 200, 105. How about when we're at Fan Expo, you let me do the talking?
Do you want to do a review? No. Can I pay you?
Richard, please shut the fuck up.
Can we do an interview though? Come on. I'll suck your dick. You want to fuck my wife?
I mean, we have not said that your wife is coming on this trip. People are going to think that's you talking about me.
I mean, is that big of a surprise? What? Yeah. Yeah, you're about to say, I'm not the wife, and then you realize how that sounds.
Well, I mean, A, that's not what I was going to say, and that's problematic. B, we're in a relationship.
I wouldn't say it's that serious, though.
Yeah, God, I haven't really thought about marriage.
We're going on our first vacation together.
Yeah, let's see how this goes.
Yeah, it's the first test.
I mean, you have met my parents.
Yeah, that's true. You don't want to be mine.
And my wife's parents.
Yeah, that's true. And your wife has met my parents.
And I've met your wife's parents.
Send us a mail.
301 Hogue Street, Hoge Street, Whitehorse, Yukon, Canada, Y1A1V8.
It's either Richard Eden or Reed Vanier. And if you want to continue that support train, baby, why don't you give us a few shekels and subscribe to our Patreon?
You got to stop saying
it's
shekels,
fine.
man.
I can say it. It's fine. I'm allowed to.
Why don't you schlep on over?
That's not cool, man.
I'm so sorry. Patreon.com/DrDC. We've got a $1, $5, $7 level. All of them get you access to the Doc Squad, our awesome fan community. Ass butt, fart butt. Just let us through a week of discussing the Snagglepuss Chronicles,
Yes.
and Cosmic DM is taking over. He's doing a book club.
Wow.
There's all sorts of fun stuff and talk happening over there, and helps us support us. And at the higher levels, you get bonus episodes, videos.
You can also
theme
send
polls.
us music to listen to, like what we're about to record.
Oh yeah, baby.
With the Now That's What I Call Residence Volume 1, Parts 1 and 2.
Well, no, this is volume 2.
No, this is I told you last episode, this is Volume 1, Part 2.
Why though?
Because it's funny.
Okay.
It's still Now That's What I Call Residence Volume 1, 2.
So you remember when we started the podcast and you were like, you got to keep naming simple.
Yeah, for the main feed. This doesn't matter. I don't.
It doesn't matter.
SEO doesn't matter.
Join us on Patreon where it doesn't matter.
Nothing you do matters except for your money, but it's fine
Wow.
because I appreciate it.
But also
Your money.
Also, tattoo your body for
100
for
reviews.
100 reviews of us.
Yeah, anything else too of the podcast. Also the same exact amount.
Oh God. So Yokro at Scarebro, I feel like, has been getting a bunch of tattoos.
You
lately.
got big tattoo our podcast energy.
Get a Shrek Morrison tattoo.
Ooh, or a pedophile.
Or a Logan from the Bayou with a bunch of like shrimp on, like snick, and a bunch of shrimps on them, like skewers.
I'll even take an Alfred did it.
And Alfred did it.
Good. That's so barely our podcast, but
Alfred hiding behind a garbage can.
I like that. That's
Alfred
good.
did it. Yeah,
That's good. Also, we've got a whole other podcast.
that's right. Ghostfacers, a supernatural rewatch.
The way more successful podcast.
I mean,
the frighteningly more successful podcast.
here's the thing. It's not even close.
It's not even close. This is the one that got the award, though.
This is the one that got the award.
Yeah, more acclaim for this one.
I also think we're like maybe more deeply.
This is like a Serbian film where nobody really wants to witness it, but it's got
Jesus.
It's really well known.
Good Lord. I don't want to be associated with that.
The other podcast is of a higher variety, but this one has more acclaim.
We're going through every single episode of the CW Supernatural.
You didn't get that from my comparison with the Serbian film.
real world monster lore. We talk behind the scenes stuff. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Check it out.
And some incest jokes that keep coming up.
No.
Just 2 weeks in a row.
No.
Or 3 weeks apart.
Yeah, we
2 weeks in a row, 3 weeks apart. That'll make sense when you get there.
I'm not even sure that's true.
All right, that's it.
Adios.
Ciao, ciao.
They always fight for what is right. Live with danger and adventure. They are men of might.
This was a Brain Freeze podcast.